All right, what's going on, folks? My name is Luke, worship pastor, Stillwater. Welcome to the green room once again. New environment. We're in Nashville on a writing trip. And we get to hang out together. We don't get to see each other very often. Yep. This is Stacey's house. Everybody say hi, Stacey.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi, Stacey.
Hi.
Can you guys introduce yourselves for the folks, the people?
The people.
I'm Stacey Tyler. I am the worship pastor at our Hendersonville campus. I've been there for 7 years full time.
Come on now.
Isn't that crazy?
God's number of completion.
So crazy. God, the number of completion. The Lord's number. This is my home, so super pumped to have y'all here. Love it when you guys travel to me, so thanks.
Makes it easier.
Thank you so much. I'm Stephen Cole. I am the worship pastor at the Edmond location, where the giant cross is, for some of those people out there that come by every once in a while.
Where is Edmond?
Edmond, Oklahoma.
Edmond, New England.
Edmond, Australia. Does that be? No, I don't know how that works. Anyway, yeah, worship pastor out there. Been there, see what's 7 years? 17 years on staff.
That is
17
crazy.
years on staff.
Yeah,
Some of our listeners haven't lived that.
I know. It's a weird thing now. Nowadays, weird kind of, but that me, yo.
You're the longest tenured worship pastor we have, right?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Oh, Papa.
His
Papa.
Brother Stephen.
I am Jordan. I am the worship pastor at our Wellington location in Florida, which is really big for horses. It's polo, equestrian.
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
I've been there. The stables are like nicer than any house I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You are lying to
The
me.
stables are mansions.
Equestrian capital of the U.S.
The horses get massages.
Do you guys do horse? Have you gone like horse?
Do you do horse
I
things?
know-
Horse equestrian?
No, but
I don't know what you call it.
I do go in a
I
tent.
know nothing about horses. Do you ever go
attend.
horse equestrizing?
I just sit there and wait for a horse to freak out. I've always wanted to see that.
Like just start
back
bucking?
kick. Yeah, just
Yeah.
like. But anyway, I've been at the Wellington location for 5 years, and I am from there. So, love
Wait,
it.
are you serious? You're
Yeah.
from Wellington?
No, I've lived there old enough to. Moved there when I was 12. So
That's
Florida,
cool.
everyone moves to Florida, and it's a melting pot. So everybody becomes a Floridian at one point in their life. We like Publix. We have a lot of subs.
Pub
And Cuban-
subs.
Pub subs.
It's a
and
thing.
Cuban coffee.
cool.
And for living near the beach,
coffee.
I don't go that often. Shame, shame, shame on me.
I don't know.
I'm a pool guy.
Oh,
What? You go
Disgusting.
That's kind of judgmental.
No, I think it's cool.
So it's been fun this week.
Yeah.
Just hanging out in Nashville. We obviously don't get to see each other very often. What's been happening at your campuses?
a lot. Let me think of a story.
Any fun stories?
Fun stories?
Yeah, let's start with fun stories.
What's some fun stories?
We have like a running prank culture, at our campus. And for some reason, people think that I do a lot of pranks. And so I just end up getting a lot of the things. But I did get some people back. We taped together a bunch of clothes and stuffed these clothes with blankets and stuff. So we made a fake person. And there was all this construction that's been happening on our campus.
Stop.
And people have been walking around on the roof during staff meeting, which is, we have staff meeting right by a big old window, right, in our office.
I know
And
where
so
this
at some
is
point, people were
going.
like, man, it makes me nervous that they're up there. And so me and a buddy, we looked at each other, we were like, I think this is what we're going to do. So we made a fake person for the ne's staff meeting, and we had a couple of interns throw the fake person off of the roof. Now, we thought we had informed all of the other contractors working on the building that we were doing this, and most of them knew, but there were a couple that didn't, and they were working in the
my.
They came rushing, they were terrified, and as soon as they got close, you saw the terror in their face turn to just sheer, they just crumbled in laughter. It was great. And We had to bail pretty quickly because as soon as the body fell, someone was like, "Call 911," and I was like, "Actually,
We're fine.
please don't call 911."
Please don't. This was a joke.
It was maybe a little too far, but it was okay.
I was about to say, you never once thought maybe this one's a little too far.
He's like, there's a guy on the roof with people with vests and helmets.
I know.
They're doing all this construction stuff and safety first. Let's try to like do a fake body and throw it off the side. It shouldn't bother anyone.
Oh my gosh,
It's amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, we haven't had
America's Funniest Home Videos, something like that.
Good.
we haven't had
Lord.
anything like that. The closest, not even the closest. The thing that recently happened, literally before we left on this trip, is we were having staff meeting and we kept hearing like this chirping. It was like, I was like, dude, there's a cricket in here. I literally hate bugs, and so I was like, as soon as it happened, I was like, shoot, I was ready to go. And anyway, we're all looking for it. Everybody's getting mad. Everyone's getting a little bit irritated. And come to find out, someone had put one of those little, you can buy devices that make cricket sounds and just put them somewhere. And it legit was just like, it took us 4 hours to find. So we had staff meeting, we had lunch. And then after lunch, everyone was like, I'm done with it. We got to figure it out. So literally, this is what people were doing. We'd turn it off. No one was talking. And we were just like sitting around by stuff like, and then
they go off at random times.
Yes, and so we're
sometimes
legit
5
just
minutes.
like walking in.
So when it goes
walking
up,
in.
you're like,
He's over here. It's not.
wait.
It's not over here. Okay, go over there. But yeah,
where was it?
it was behind somebody's like little. I don't know. It was like I don't know what to call it. It was like a coffee thing, but they had taped it onto the back of it. It was pretty sly.
So
Oh my gosh.
the last time somebody did that at our campus, they put them all close to the ceiling, and so we had to pull a lift in and search in all the air vents and
my
stuff to
gosh.
find 3 of them. It was the
Woof.
worst.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was kind of fun too. All right, so we love laughing hard, loud, and often. Do it all the time.
Yes.
And at the same time, we're deeply connected at our campuses. We know our people, and we're always getting great stories of what God is doing in their lives. It's such an honor to be able to hear these stories and be a part of them. And I'd love to just hear, like, in the context of worship, like, how is worship having an impact in your people?
Sometimes the stories are like so shocking in the moment, you don't really get to like fully embrace like what's really happening. But I had went home to like pick up my family to bring them to church, and we're in the parking lot coming in, and it's like the break between services, and people are coming out, people are going in, and this guy catches me in the parking lot, and he's like like the speed walk where it's like you have something urgent and you like need to tell someone. That's what the way it felt. He's like, I gotta tell you this. So he comes up to me, and he's like already about to cry, and he's like, you have no idea how much what you do has impacted my life. And I was like, I never know what to say in those circumstances. I'm just like, that's awesome, like cool. And he just expounded. He had cancer, and he said that the thing that brought him through was our worship music. Like he was literally listening to that over and over and over again. He like pulled out his phone. It's like Grace Upon Grace, and he's like showing me the songs and stuff. And he's like, he's like, today I'm cancer free. Like I'm cancer free.
Wow.
And he said the major component in helping me walk through that was these songs, And I guess when I hear stuff like that, it just reminds me of what can happen in the midst of worship. Like worship can be medicine. Worship can be counseling. And I got to see that literally happen in this guy's life, that he used it as a tool. And I'm sure he wept. I'm sure he celebrated in all of the circumstances, but he was able to use that as a tool to bring him through, I'm guessing, if not the hardest season, one of the hardest seasons of his life. So it's just really incredible to see and to hear and to know that story. Like this guy's like standing right in front of me. It's freaking awesome. So
I love it when people say that to us, like, you have no idea, and it's like nothing to do with us, but it's always a humbling reminder to me that, like, we really don't have any idea. Like,
Right.
you do your best to put together a set or write a song like we are this week or whatever, and we have no idea, like, what God could be doing in the room at any given moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, we bring our best, but like the Spirit of God is doing so many like different individual things like at any given moment in any service, any song. And so I don't know, when people share those things, it's amazing because you're like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's significant. Like that's huge.
Right.
Yeah. And the amount of stories that are walking around.
Yeah.
100%.
That's
everywhere.
only one that's shared with
Yeah.
you.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, you just don't know.
These stories are essential for us as worship pastors, and it kind of reminds you again of like why you do what you do and who you do it for. It's super important, and it's vital to plan sets, like you said, and like, God, what are you doing in this moment? How are you speaking? Knowing the stories of your people in your room are so important because every seat has a person, a name, a story. They matter to God, and so because of that, it keeps me going. It just like, I want to live another day because of it.
Because, the Holy Spirit is always doing work that we don't recognize or see or understand, and it's so easy to feel like you have a certain amount of control over what's happening. You know, you go, oh, well, I know I want it to sound good and feel good. I know what I want the story of the set to feel like. I know what the message is about and where we're headed, and you're working through all these tactics and the practicality of leading your band to execute the set, but it is the Holy Spirit speaking to our people in those moments that transforms the hearts and the minds. And that's where I go, I have to seek those stories out in order to find them.
Yeah.
And I think you can find them, like you were saying, Stephen, that I think sometimes people come up to us at church and like sometimes they haven't thought through what am I going to ask them, and sometimes the funniest, weirdest stuff comes out, or like, man, your shoes looked cool, or like whatever, or just like they bring up the craziest stuff sometimes, and it's like we're human beings and we're normal and like anybody else. But what I think is true is when people come up to us and they say like, man, the music was awesome today. It's the question behind the question. It's like, well, what about it did you like? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, man, your singing was awesome. It's like, well, what about worship did you like? Or, you know, what's God doing?
How did that resonate with you?
How did that resonate? If you ask the question behind the question, like sometimes really cool things can come out of it. And that's where you'll get that story of like, actually, I'm going through something really difficult right now.
Or you get the, like sometimes it's like, they're like, I don't really know. Like sometimes they just don't know.
And that's okay.
And it's okay. And I think that in that it gives them the opportunity to go home and to go,
think about it.
What was it that really stood out to me, you know? And like, I can think of numerous times where we've had questions like that. Like we did the whole series on like thinking about like the miracles in front of us. And we did the whole series as a church and everything. And like, we were trying to do some social media stuff, and it was like, let's go ask people, what miracles has God done in their life, you know? And so we like walked out there and we're like, hey, what miracles has God done in your life? You know? And it's like, but
He
what was
died for my
crazy-
sins.
Yeah, seriously. But what was crazy about it was
I
like
love
people,
Jesus.
we had a lot of people that were just like, they didn't really know straight out the gate. And what was cool about it is that we had multiple people come back and go, man, I'm really glad that you asked me that question, because I wasn't noticing all the things that God was doing in my life.
That's cool.
And it's like, that's the kind of stuff. It's like, you talk about the question behind the question. It's like, hey, what miracles in your life? I don't really know. I've got to think about it. They go home, and if they're processing that through the Holy Spirit, he starts to reveal those things to them, which I think is amazing, you know?
Yeah. That's like the awareness piece of it is such a massive part of following Jesus, because we've heard like JT and Chris talk about this, where what's the win of a worship set? It's somebody just looking up from themselves, just becoming like thinking about what's happening.
Right.
It's so easy to just be caught up in whatever it is, and we we were talking yesterday, we attend church like we go to Walmart. It's part of the day-to-day. This is the thing. We read the Bible. This is like part of the routine. But how are you zooming out and observing where the Holy Spirit is at work in the day-to-day?
And I think it's subjective too, because I think as on worship teams in general, I grew up thinking this way, as I measure worship by, are people raising their hands? Are people like responding and singing back things? I find oftentimes, especially in my room, like people are kind of just like, I'm here today. Like, I showed up here. I need you to convince me why I should be here. And they're just kind of like, sometimes it's the cup of coffee and just like, I'm here, and that's okay. And that's okay as well. And I grew up kind of thinking like it's got to be this like eyes closed, hands up response. And sometimes people need to resonate and sit with things. And that's special. And we can measure that by those conversations in the lobby of like, man, this specific song really impacted me in this way. That's a win for me, more than like I'm going to sing and lift my hands, which is important, but it's not the whole package deal.
Yeah. And who are we to say that God's not doing something in them,
100%. Yeah.
Because a lot of times the people that do come up to me I'm like, wow, because I didn't really think you were enjoying it. From my human,
I was praying for
my
you.
human perspective. But I'm so thankful over the years. I've had so many of those moments that I don't like put that pressure on myself. But also one of the biggest joys is to see somebody come in that might be more reserved, and God is just like doing something in them. And in the beginning they might be like deer in the headlights because they're just reading the words and they're like soaking it all in, and they're looking at people that are like sold out worshiping, and they're like, what is going on here? But as they witness like those people, it's kind of like, well, like they look so free, like they look so joyful, like this looks so life-giving to them. And then like as they come back week after week, it's like we see them start to like sing along, and then maybe close their eyes, and then maybe like then they're like leading worship just as much as we are, like sold out because God's doing something in their life. So it's like,
that's good.
It's just cool to have a front row seat to the process of like God's like extended work in people, like over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I love that. And we don't want to be impatient with their journey.
Yeah.
I think the work is both ways, like there's a work that's happening in them, there's a work that's happening in us.
Absolutely.
One of the best things, like one of the folks on my team reminded me of, was the fact that, and it can be, it's so simple as like a worship leader, you're like, I'm called to lead worship. Like that's what I do, right? But sometimes I think we get so caught up in the leading of worship that we forget to be led. Like we're up there and like, I'm not singing this song, so-and-so singing this song. All right, here we go. I'm going to keep leading. And it's like, you are, but man, are you missing what else is happening like through the other leaders that are right next to you?
Right.
And that's one thing that, and honestly, it was like very convicting to me, because you naturally as a leader, you want to step up to the plate and just be like, lead. But that's not the way it works all the time. Yeah. Like God is also calling us to follow. And it's like, sometimes what that other leader is speaking or saying or how they're leading is getting me to a different place in my worship and in my like surrender in that one moment, And so I think just having those eyes to be able to go, like, I am leading when I'm leading, and when I'm not, I'm following, and engaging just as much, but like being very mindful that you are also there to be led and to worship in a different sense than just being, leading the charge.
And we can't lead people to a place where we're not going or have been ourselves. So I think our preparation is worship too. Like when we prep songs, when it's the quiet moments, when we're in the car, like that is worship. And I know that God honors that more than just like, hey, I'm here today. Let me put worship in a box. It's in-ears, it's confidence monitor, it's leading a band. It's so much more than that. And like Sunday should actually be the like end result of what worship looks like for us during the week.
It's fun because one of our axioms is that we're leaders who follow first.
Right.
Like we, as a worship team, we have axioms: worshipers who build worshipers, leaders who follow first, pastors who pursue excellence. I feel like you just unfolded a whole new like piece of that axiom.
And I love that. Yeah.
Because I feel like that axiom sometimes is like hardest for people to understand.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how do I lead and follow? Which you can, like, you know that, like, it's possible in your mind. You're like, I'm supposed to be a servant leader and be a good follower.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like that's a cool perspective of that, specifically in the context of worship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. You just added to our axiom.
Yeah. No, that's what I love about our axioms is like the more life that you go through and the more breaking that you go through, like you can learn so much more through the axioms. As
You're
you
like,
go.
oh, that's what that means.
Yeah, I've had that.
I haven't understood it for years.
Now I really get it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I've actually heard that about scripture, and I've found it to be true.
Yeah.
You know, season
Yeah.
after season is like it's
That's totally
written
how it
to
is.
be meditated on over the course of a lifetime.
Yep.
Yeah.
And every season unlocks a new understanding, not a different understanding. It's not like you lose the previous understanding. You just build on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a fun journey.
Yeah, that's cool.
You guys got more stories?
I have a story. I recently shared it on one of our team calls because it still blows my mind, and this is one that is still like very currently unfolding. But we have a family at our church who is they inspire me all the time because they're one of the most like generous families ever, and they are like always giving stuff away and like letting people stay in their home, and like it challenges me because a lot of times like I would never do that, and then I'm like that's exactly what God calls us to do. But they're just so selfless, and their daughter she's 27 and she's not married, but God has like kept like putting it on her heart to foster, which that in and of itself is like for anyone is super selfless, but especially for like a 27-year-old girl. And she's been going through these foster classes, and I think like she assumed like I'll foster babies or like I'll have a toddler or whatever. And she is a teacher at one of our schools here in the area, and there is this young boy who has been in one of her classes, and he's just had a really, really, really difficult time. He's been homeless like many parts of his life. He was addicted to drugs at like a super young age. He's only right now in the 8th grade.
Oh my gosh.
So like that, I mean, that shows you. Wow. But he has cerebral palsy and comes from a very broken home, and he's just been in and out of like all these foster homes. And our volunteer who I was talking about decided to take him into her home. And so she has a 14-year-old, not a 4-year-old, but like a 14-year-old, and one who has been through a lot, one who was told by his parents and his family, like, you're just really hard to deal with, like, with this disability, like, we don't really like care to spend enough time or like money on this. And so he has carried that like chip on his shoulder his whole life, his whole short 14 years of like nobody wants me. I look different than everyone, and so therefore like I'll just figure it out, I guess. And so she decides to take him in, feels very called by the Lord to do so. And they are like adamant attenders and volunteers and like just serve our church and have for years. And so she's like, well, you're coming to church. Like, that's just what we do. So he comes, and he came, his first weekend was Easter weekend. So that was like, that was a heavy hitter for him.
Yeah.
And she said that he watched the sermon like 10 times between Sunday and Wednesday when he could come to the student ministry. And she was like, I swear he could preach this message at this point. And I keep telling him, like, we're going to go back Sunday. There'll be a new message.
Don't you worry.
Yeah. Wow. But so she brings him on Wednesday to Switch, our student ministry. And we also have Switch, which is like a special like music project that we have. We have Switch and we have Life.Church Worship. And Switch released this song this past year that has been really special, especially in the life of like teenagers. It's called Perfection.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, one of my favorites too. And I'd save it for special moments, I feel like, on Wednesdays. Like, I don't do it all the time, and I hadn't done it in a while. And so we decided to do it that night. And he comes for the first time. And he sits there in worship and listens to this song that says, like, when all I see are the flaws, you see perfection, you see perfection. And I just see him, like, breaking down, you know. And I was like, oh, my gosh, like, I didn't even think about this situation happening. And so after worship, he, like, goes out into the lobby because he, like, can't console himself. And one of our youth leaders walks out with him, and it happens to be a man who also was in and out of, like, so many foster homes when he was a kid, doesn't even know this young guy's story. He follows him out and talks to him the rest of the night, and their stories connect. And then they put him in his, like, group. So that guy was his Switch leader. Awesome. And it's like God is orchestrating all of these, like, moments every time this kid comes to our church. Yeah. And it's like he's been told over and over again, you're not good enough, you're not seen, you're different. And he comes in within, like, 3 days, like, he hears about, you know, the gospel and the life-changing story of Jesus. We sing Perfection for the first time in like 6 months, probably. And he ended up giving his life to Christ. Wow. Which is amazing. Wow. And now he's like, he is always bugging them. I'm like, how many days until church again? Like, when do we get to go back to church? And so, like, again, that is one story of one kid in our whole youth ministry and in our whole church. And, like, that, it is a convoluted one. It's a heavy one. Like, there's so much to it, and he's only 14 years old. Wow. But, like, to watch God use our worship ministry, the songs we've written, like, volunteers in our church, like, people who have also been through that exact thing. Wow. Yeah. Like, watch him walk out and follow him out there and learn a story and be like, it's just like, it's the most beautiful thing to witness. Like, so, I mean, that's just one.
That was just one story. It's one story.
We could pack up and go home now.
We could go, we could talk about it for hours. It's like you could talk for hours.
Yeah. There are thousands of people that attend just the 4 campuses represented at this table, and there are 40 some odd campuses. Yeah. And every single one of those people is like God's doing something in their story and in their life. And
yeah, I don't think we make it clear enough all the time that every person represented here and that you might see on future videos represents like a whole city and a whole church. Yeah. And like that is our highest calling, is to like be a pastor where we're at. Yeah. in our city.
Yeah.
And so we love to write the songs, but we write the songs out of stories like that.
Right.
Yep.
Like those are the things that inspire me, and then we write them and release them and get to like use them for our church.
Yep.
And it's just like, it's just this beautiful like cyclical thing.
Side note, Perfection is one of those songs that shocked me. Like when we rolled it out, let's see how this goes. It's pretty intimate. It's
Yeah.
pretty chill. And I was like, we'll see like how this goes. But I really personally like the song. And it's become that song that like, there's like the chill keys in the beginning and it's like, bling. And the second that happens, all the kids go, and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, really?
It's like the only time in Switch ever that you could hear a pin drop at our campus.
The beginning is a pin drop, and then it's like they just start
Rowdy.
screaming. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
one of those things I'm tempted to use it on the weekend because
Yes.
because I feel like I've had a lot of conversations with people where I'm like, I feel like you say you've accepted God's grace, but you are so critical of yourself. And I'm guilty of it all the time, of just being so self-critical. There's a line in there that talks about like, I look in the mirror and I feel like I try to avoid the mirror because, and it's like not a physical mirror, but like I don't want to examine myself because I don't want to go listen to myself from the weekend because I'm going to pick apart everything that was out of tune or that I said or did that doesn't look good or sound good.
Right.
And it's just so hard to have grace on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
And how do you live? Like, so you either are so self-critical that you avoid any evidence of the things that you would be critical about. And so you live without the opportunity to grow and get better, or you learn to hold both realities. I have failed and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay because of the grace of God, because Christ's covering over me means that when God looks at me, I am the righteousness of God in Christ. I am blameless in his sight, and I'm on the journey to becoming more like him. And
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Yeah.
accept it. It's hard.
Yeah.
That
It
is
is
hard.
hard. I think worship and music, like have the ability to do things that words can't do by themselves. Like worship is such a connecting thing. I mean, when you really think about it at our campuses, like everybody's facing the same direction, singing the same song. It's like a beautiful thing that you kind of, like you can put some pictures or hands on it, but not all of it. And it's something to be experienced. And I think like we might be the only like Bible or Jesus that some people might see. And it's like, yeah, somebody might follow Christ, like hear a message and it's like, okay, I'm going to give my life to Christ. But sometimes it's through worship that it like leads people to that place. And I think that that's the highest reward for us. Like at our campus in Florida, we do 6 services on Sunday. It's awesome. It's a wild ride. It's a lot. I got to like save the voice. And when I talk to people in the lobby, I tend to just like nod and not because I can't like scream and then have to go sing again. But I like we do this set and then sometimes you don't know how things come across. And then I never leave a Sunday or a service where at the end of the service I'm just in the back of the room watching. At our church, we Pastor Craig does a call to Christ and has people, he preaches the gospel, presents it, and people have the opportunity to raise their hand and accept him. And I love that about our church. And so like I sit back there, I pray over people, and then like watching somebody raise their hand and give their life to Jesus, like it is proof to me that the work, the grind, that everything that we put into motion, like it spoke to somebody and it changed somebody's life. Mm-hmm. And there's no higher reward or calling. Like I could do that for the rest of my life and I would be totally happy. Mm-hmm. There's no like opportunity or thing I have to lead or like thing I have to gain. Like that's it for me personally.
Yeah.
You're talking about the whole like perfection side of things where we tend to want to like, come be prepared and like say the right thing and do the right thing. And it's really interesting to me that like there are so many times, it's actually kind of, it kind of infuriates me sometimes, but it's like, God chooses to use me the most when I feel the weakest. Like when I stand on that stage and I'm broken. Like I think about like the season of like full on anxiety for me, where it was actually crippling. Like I literally was having a hard time just like breathing or being, I just didn't think I could do it. And I can remember moments where I was like, I'm going to do this service, but I'm going to be on the ground the whole time. Like I literally had to sit down on one of the risers on stage because I was just wrecked and I didn't sound great. And I don't think, I mean, some people would be like, I don't know, man, that's not like the greatest of leadership, but I was there. It was authentic. It was where I was. And it didn't feel awesome at the time, but that was the moment that it's like, that's the one time you come off stage and you're like, man, I don't want to talk to anybody. And then somebody wants to talk to you, you know? And it's like, oh man, this guy comes up and it's like, hey man, like today meant a lot for me. And it's like, oh, for you. Yeah.
Also, are you okay?
But yeah, it's so funny to me because it's like, it's as if they didn't notice. Mm-hmm. That's weird. You're telling me that in my authenticity and in my brokenness, that people didn't even see or weren't in question of my situation. They actually accepted that for themselves, of like they were looking at themselves. That's interesting, because I thought that when I stood up there and I said the right things and when I did the right things that I was communicating the most effectively. It's the heart that speaks. It is from our soul and the Spirit working through us, even in our brokenness, that speaks.
Yeah.
It's like excellence is not a checklist. It's never been a checklist. Excellence is the pursuit of Christ. Like I could say we're pastors who pursue the excellence of Christ.
Yeah.
Because that's where I find excellence. It's his excellence, right? If I'm broken and the thing that's changing this room, it can't be me. It can't be me. It'll never be me. But what Christ will do through me, what Christ will do through our teams, what Christ will do through you and each person that sits on that stage or stands on that stage or whatever they do, you know, playing drums, whatever. But it's Christ through those things that brings excellence.
Yeah. Pursuit.
It's great. Yeah. It's great to know the songs and do the stuff, but it's literally, it's Christ through us every single time.
Mm-hmm. There have been seasons where every service, every weekend, I'll have during an instrumental or something like that, I'll pull off the mic and I'll pray. God, I can't do this on my own. I need you to do this because you're the one, you're the only thing that can make a difference in the folks who are sitting and watching us. It's not the song, it's not the notes, it's not the mix, it's not the blah, blah, blah. All those things, they create an experience that's easier, makes it easier for people to connect to what's happening. But he is the only one that can make a difference. And whenever I forget to do that, I find myself getting frustrated, like everything's been going fine. Why is there no? And I go, oh, I started relying on myself again.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Strive. You get into strive mode. You just start to go into that.
Yeah, I would say this sometimes, like selfishly, and like people will come up and they'll complain or like, I didn't like this song or it didn't move me. And I was like, I want to say like, oh, I didn't know we were worshiping you today. But I don't say that. I don't say that. But I want to sometimes.
That's good. That song wasn't for you.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
That's
Hey,
right.
Weakness.
That's right.
Yeah. It's good.
Okay, guys, we're going to pivot. We're going to play a quick game.
I love games.
Hard pivot.
Really hard pivot. I did that in the green room recently.
Pivot. Pivot. Swish. Pivot.
Look. Okay, folks, we are playing a game.
Okay.
For this game, we're going to select a song for the person to your left to identify. Thinking.
I feel like we should play it, and whoever guesses it first gets a point. If there's no like competition, it's not
She's
fun.
out. I was like, you mean I can only get one point?
The four of us pick a song, and then whoever. We can do that.
Yeah. 4 of us pick a song,
And then you gotta go.
and then whoever gets it first,
Okay.
whoever slaps the table first,
No, you just shout it.
gets
Oh,
it.
okay, we'll just shout it.
All right. I was homeschooled, K through 12. I'm just telling you right now.
You were.
You choose 90s R&B, and I'm gonna be like,
Dang it.
I don't know. I don't know who these people are.
Dang it. I was gonna.
Let's see.
All right, I got
Oh
mine.
man. Who's up?
All
You
right.
want to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Tiny Dancer.
Oh my gosh.
this has
Oh my
gotta be-
gosh.
What's this, like Simple Plan?
Being at last. Mark Nelson.
Okay.
Is this like your
homeschooler.
own band?
No.
It's all over
I
TikTok
have-
right now. Well, it's been for a while, but.
Steven and I
Here it
don't
goes.
know what.
Yeah, I don't.
I know this song.
She's sleeping at last.
Tonight will be the night. What did he say at the end?
Over again.
It's Fall for You from Secondhand Serenade. Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you.
Wow.
MySpace days, guys. Come on.
I got to change my
Gosh.
song because
All right,
it was
sorry.
too close to that one.
Then I'm gonna get it.
Okay, you guys ready?
Okay, Steven, go.
All right, here's my song. I hope you guys get it.
Lionel Richie,
Nope.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
Stevie.
I can't turn it up.
You can't?
That's it all the way up.
That's what it sounds. That's what it sounded like.
This is not a worship song. This is not a worship song. This is for
It
you,
was the
Mom.
same.
I'm gonna
Mr.
cry.
T,
Listen.
Mama.
Should I go to the chorus?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Here we go.
Don't you dare make fun.
I'm not making fun.
Here goes. You ready? Here comes the chorus.
Don't patronize.
No, ready?
I can make you love me. Bye.
Parentheses if you don't. I don't know.
She's trying to look at my phone.
I don't know.
It's I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt, ladies and gentlemen, Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt,
Featured
classic.
today on the Green Room Conversation.
Dude, turn that song on and like go look out a window when it's raining.
Yeah.
Ready?
can't.
Y'all
All right,
are
here we
gonna
go,
get
here we
this
go.
in like 2 seconds.
We just all made the sound.
Song.
It's what's his name? Crazy guy.
It's from School of Rock.
No.
School Rock and
School of Rock, Jack Black.
This
No.
is
I keep wanting
he
to
was
say
in the. It was at School of Rock. He was in the car.
Osborne. No, wait.
Skinner?
Y'all literally
Leonard
don't know
Skinner.
this.
No, it's
No, this is
We
Isn't this Rush?
no,
Ozzy Osbourne.
No.
not Ozzy Osbourne.
Why is it blanking? I know this song.
Ozzy
It
Osbourne.
is Led Zeppelin.
Oh.
Led Zeppelin.
duh.
That's what I said.
Myself.
I said it. Rewind the tape.
People are gonna be so
I didn't
offended
say
by
it.
that.
I never said that.
Robert Plant lives here.
He
Robbie
does.
Plants.
Robbie,
Come hang, bro.
Robbie.
Come on,
Robbie.
Oh, Roberto.
hang.
Immigrant song.
Immigrant song.
Immigrant song.
No, it's
Was
from,
that- did that
it's
come
from
out in
Jack
the
Black.
80s?
And it's really that.
Probably 70s.
I'm a big 80s fan, but that's not one that I listen to.
80s?
I did
Probably
recently.
70s, yeah.
The last time I watched School of Rock, he gave all the suggestions
Yeah,
of
I'm a
songs
big
to
80s
listen
fan.
to by like for
Yeah.
the vocalists and for. I went and listened to every one of
You
his
did?
suggestions.
Those are some great.
They were great.
suggestions.
They were great,
Yeah.
and songs I'd not been exposed to before. All right,
Okay,
you guys ready?
homeschooler.
Let's see.
Dude, if
I
it's
can only
freaking.
imagine.
It's going. It's playing.
If
It's
it's
not
you
playing.
singing
It's not playing.
the kids for like the songs for like our Life kids, I'm
It's
gonna
playing in
smash
my
them.
house on the Echo Show.
You just woke
who's
your
there?
kids up.
All right,
Anytime,
here we
Lord.
go. Bon Jovi.
We know all of them. We just,
Come on.
I have no idea. Is this Tenacious D?
Oh my gosh, that's kind
It
of.
sounds like Tenacious D.
Like I was homeschooled, so
Oh,
it's something I
I
knew
got
as a
it.
kid.
It's DC Talk, and the song is
is it DC?
yeah.
Really?
holy.
It's
How funny.
Does he live
How do
here?
I still remember that melody so well?
Stace, does he live here? Got me.
Probably. A Christian artist? Yeah,
What
probably.
if I stumble? What if I stumble?
Yeah, that's it.
What if I
Oh, it's so fun.
None of us got it. I would say you're probably the closest to the winner. None of us could.
At least
I thought you were gonna say
like,
the closest to age, and I was gonna go. Yeah, man.
You're 17 years old
Papa.
in Life Church years.
That's right. I'm only.
You
17.
knew the words to all of them.
I did.
So
Well,
you did.
Did I?
Bonnie Ray stumped us though, man.
That's a good jam.
It's a
We're
good
listening
jam.
to that on the
We're
way.
gonna listen to it later, guys. Thank you
I
for
might cry.
joining us for our green room conversation. Hope you have a fantastic and blessed day.
Peace and chicken grease.
Peace and blessings.